Okay, I'm here with Jim Fearn from Guide Fly Fishing, and obviously a very, very good casting instructor and a guide in itself, teaching people salmon fishing and trout fishing, is that right?
That's right, yeah. Majority is salmon fishing, to be fair.
So you are the man, super clued up to talk to us about these things, the RIO AFS.
Yeah.
So, AFS, Jim,
yeah.
What's it stand for?
Advanced Flight Spay.
Fantastic. So this is basically your salmon angler's fly line kit in a box, hopefully to cover every single situation.
To be fair, not every situation. That largely explains why there's so many RIO lines in the RIO range. It certainly will cover a lot of situations that your average salmon fisher is likely to encounter. It is pretty much a shooting head, and my time at guide fly fishing in the last 8 years, shooting heads, or sales of shooting heads, and the popularity has really increased for lots of good reasons as well. Mainly because the shortness in the actual head means that they're easy to cast. And also as well because the heads are shorter, they're that little bit thicker in the front section, which pretty much means that they're a lot more versatile than what was the old spay lines and even double tapers. So they will turn over faster tips, you'll be able to cast a much bigger variant, if you will, on sizes of flies. So lots of reasons really why the RIO AFS is the most popular line system in Britain today, and certainly what I see.
The thing with these things is, Jim, as you say, you've got 3 tip sections there.
That's right.
Now that allows you to fish different depths of water, I would imagine.
That's right. Within the kit there is an intermediate section, if I just bring these out now, or tip should I say, a Versi leader even.
And what length are these, Jim?
These are 10-foot Versi leaders. There is a 3.9, and that's 3.9 inches per second. And there is also...
So that's its sink rate?
That's right.
3.9?
That's right. And there is also a 7 inches per second.
So it's got to deal with heavy water conditions, I would imagine?
Yeah, that's right.
Is that going to be like spring fishing, that kind of thing?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, a tip like that would certainly deal with more water. However, for spring fishing, certainly earlier on in spring and also later at the back end, there would be better lines to use in them conditions. But certainly for your average, say, 18 inches of water, which seems to be the golden height on so many rivers at the main part of the year, then this kind of kit with them tips is ample, really.
It saves a lot of sort of faffing about, if you will. I mean, I see salmon anglers that turn up with 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 salmon reels, all ready to go with full spay lines. These things allow you the accessibility and the quickness to be able to change and adapt to the conditions. And I dare say, if you booked a day's salmon fishing or 2 days salmon fishing, that river can go up and down in those 2 days. You need to have a line that accommodates those conditions.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is one of the big advantages of shooting heads, that you don't necessarily need to be burdened down with so many different reels. The speed in which you can change a head, as an example, within the kit there is a floating head. The speed in which you can put a full sinking head on is pretty quick. So yeah.
It's a loop-to-loop connection, is that right?
It is. It's a welded loop on each end. On the shooting line itself, there's a welded loop which is attached to the backing, which is nicely with the actual sticker there, and there is a much longer welded loop on the front end, again to facilitate the speed of changing the head.
When you're changing the heads, Jim, one of the things that I get asked a lot, I salmon fish up in the TV at the back end, probably only once a year, love it. But one of the things the guys ask me, because I use these little walleted shooting head system, how do I know what end goes on where?
Yeah, that's a great question, and even humbly, I've had to explain to gillies over the phone that have maybe said, that have said that this line system, this shooting head isn't right. It's just not casting. And one of the things that comes to my mind is, have they put it on upside down? I've done it. It's so easy to do, and really the key is to think about the actual taper within the shooting head. Absolutely. That thickness really wants to be towards the back end of the line. Absolutely, I mean, we say it's a reasonably obvious statement, but
you're right. The thing is, because of these lines, especially the darker ones, you didn't really see that thickness in taper, but if you run your finger along it, you can feel it.
That's right. From the loop, typically there's a small amount of rear taper, then it will come very thick, should I say, very quickly, stay thick, and then start to taper right down to what should be the fly end. But you're absolutely right in what you're saying. It's certainly common, where it's a full sinker and it's a dark, and in the the heat of the moment, and just get it out there, and the results are not great.
So really, basically, if I want to go salmon fishing, I've booked my day or I've booked my week, whatever it is, I'm looking for a kit, and this is probably the ideal kit to take along. Would you agree?
Certainly.
For the majority of my salmon fishings?
Absolutely, yeah. It's if you're limited time to maybe go salmon fishing, or just a few weeks a year, then the AFS is a perfect line system. And that said, I mean, not only just for someone like that, maybe yourself, it's a great kit for myself to have in my armoury. It's just that, fortunately, working for Guide, I get to fatten that up as well.
I have to say, if you've never used one of these line system things, they're a great benefit when you're fishing there. I find it easier to cast with these lines than I do with spey lines, and I think a lot of people that move from trout fishing into salmon fishing might agree with that, because we're used to dealing with those tapers and those shorter rods. A spey line is a little bit more cumbersome, it's a longer ruse, it takes a little bit more practice, maybe some instruction from somebody like yourself to get into it. I think with one of these systems, you can move into it a lot quicker.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, again, though, to be fair, from a casting instructor's point of view, ideally, everybody would maybe start with a spey line. Foundationally, you would be a better caster as a result. And also, a spey line certainly has situations which would be perfect. Spey line and RIO do spey lines, of course. The time that springs to mind maybe is when the river's not quite carrying as much water.
Maybe a summer low, something like that?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. The flies are smaller, that longer line is going to turn them over.
And it's delicate as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Swing time is longer as well, so there is some really good examples of when to use a spey line over a shooting head. But for the main, certainly, this is why the popularity of it.
You can see why, folks. This is such a good seller. It's a great kit, great bit of gear for having your armoury. Try it, see how you get on. I'm sure you won't be disappointed.